Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bucs Bounty alongside Michael McKenry. My name is Stephen Brault, and today we have an awesome guest with us, outfield coach, first base coach, base running coach, everything coach. Tarrik Brock joins us on the show. Welcome, Tarrik. So good to have you, man. We call him T Brock.
What's
That's probably what
up?
we're going to be calling him the rest of the
Yeah.
show. But good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Man, thanks for having me. It's really cool to actually not be on the field and just talk about life and baseball with you guys. So I'm ready to go.
I can't wait.
Heck yeah. All
T
right.
Brock,
Well,
it's gonna be a blast.
yeah, it's going to be so much fun. We got to start because just before we did this, we started recording. You told me the story of your major league debut and that process that led up to it. Michael wasn't here yet, so he didn't get to hear it, and he's going to absolutely love it. So I just want you to start. It came up. You said you were with the Mariners, or got drafted by the Tigers, and then why don't you just take it from there?
Yeah, so I got drafted by the Tigers, and 5 years into my development, there was this Rule 5 draft, and all of a sudden I get a phone call, in December before my birthday, which is Christmas, and hey, welcome, you're with the Seattle Mariners. I'm like, what the heck is this, man? Like that didn't really happen. So I'm good. Okay, so it's great. So I go over there and work my way up. I was a team MVP of Double-A, and you make it up to Triple-A. And so I'm on the roster at this point in time, and they come to me and go, "We have to take you off the roster." So I'm like 6 feet, 175, 180 skinny guy. And the guy that they're taking me off the roster for is Butch Husky. And Butch
A
Husky
what?
is def opposite of me. He was fit. I mean, he was built like a tank. So they went from Slim Shady to Butch Husky, in one moment. And so, instead of staying, with the Mariners, and this is where I can look back and say, where I was immature. Instead of staying there, I decided to leave, and I go sign with the Chicago Cubs. So I go there and I struggle for a year, and then off season I make a declaration, and this is one part of how I live my life. The declaration was made: if I go back to big league camp, I'm going to do everything I can to show them every tool that I have in my belt. That was the declaration I make, and you can make them when you're angry, and you can just make them when you're determined. And so that was a determined declaration. And so it's the spring of 2000. I find out that the team is going to open up in Tokyo, Japan. I'm like, that would be a blast. Right. So, and my wife is with me for a while. She's going back and forth to California. And then all of a sudden, I get a tap on my shoulder, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting sent down to AAA. I don't know how I'm going to make
You're
this
like,
phone call.
no.
And so,
No.
we're at Hohokam, the old spring training stadium, and Don Baylor taps me on the shoulder. I go down the hallway. He sticks out his hand. He goes, "Congratulations, you make the team." If you ever saw Major League when Wesley Snipes go outside and he's dancing outside, that
Yeah.
was your boy. I mean, I was so excited. So I make the team, and I'm going over and I make my major league debut, and I get my first major league hit in Tokyo, Japan, in a game against the New York Mets. The cool thing about that is that I didn't know that I would be a trivial question after that. And then, some of the players on the team find out and they go, "That's really cool. What was that like?" It was a blur, but it was great. And when I watched the replay, it was the most awesome thing that ever happened. So I believe everybody that plays this game gets an opportunity to do something really special that could be timeless. And so the coolest thing is, like, you just accept that, and be thankful that you had that opportunity to do that. But then also I get to see how I grew also from that as well.
So you were the only guy to get traded for Husky, and you're the only excuse me, they get Butch Husky out, and then MLB. There's never been another guy debut in Japan. Just you. That's it, right? That's
No,
a trivia
first
question.
one. That was
First and
it.
only.
First player to make his major league debut and get his first major league hit on foreign soil. That was the coolest part right there.
He got him, and he's done it again.
Welcome Welcome to Unobstructed View.
We're at BP. We're going to get an inside look.
Once you start loving each other, you start fighting for each other.
Welcome to Coach's Corner. And he'll admire it, so will we.
Is that too much to ask for?
Oh, baby.
After his junior year, kind of that summer, he's only 91, 93. And I know that sounds funny, but a lot of scouts had him as like a 10th rounder, 15th rounder, not a big deal, kind of a follow guy. We sat Bubs down and we kind of challenged him. You know the name Brady House. Brady House was a first-round pick by the Nationals in 22. Brady's like probably 45 minutes from where we are right now. And we asked Bubba, we're like, Bubba, why does Brady House get so much more attention from like Perfect Game and the national media than you do? We're like, is he a better hitter than you? And of course, Bub's like, no. Is he a better fielder than you? He's like, no. And so we go through all these things about Brady House. And what it came down to is Brady House was just more physical than Bubba Chandler at the same age. And so Bubba went on a mission. At that point, he was probably eating like 4,000, 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
To put on about from the time his junior year to the start of his senior year. Like we would get pictures in the morning of his breakfast. We would get pictures of like the scale he's standing on it. So this guy had to really put the time in as far as in the weight room and nutrition goes to allow his body to put on 20 pounds. And that same fastball that went from like 91, 93 now jumps up to like 97, 98, and so for him, he's a super hardworking guy too, and it's not like he's just he is naturally gifted, but to get where he is, he's put in a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And that was when he started the whole 100 or die. We're gonna 100 or die, and and all that, and that's the birth of the Flame Bangers, the pitching staff at North Oconee. Shout out to all those guys where it became cool to get swole and throw as hard as he can. So it was awesome.
Let's
So
go.
shout out to all those guys.
That's awesome. This is my last question for you guys. I don't know if Michael still has something, but I just wanted to use that to frame that. We've seen Bubba Chandler when he got drafted, of course, third rounder, and you're talking about the growth how much growth he had before to get to that point. Well, now he's shown so much growth in his short time in the minor leagues to his time up in the big leagues that now in the big leagues, I would say it's undoubtable that he is at his best he's ever been. So he's continued to get better every year since from the beginning of high school, like you said, all the way through his young professional career so far. Is that something that as fans, you can expect to see continue? Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to start throwing 105, but I mean, will he continue to be a guy who's always looking to improve, or is he the kind of guy that's going to get somewhere and be like, all right, now I just need to cruise here?
I don't think so. I think it comes back to his competitive nature. Like, and I know there was I think Skenes was doing an interview or something, and he talked about Bubba reached out and told him congratulations on being the opening day starter. I'm going to do it next year. Like that guy's going to continue to, because he's so competitive. Like, so if something's, it's not, I think, gotten to the major leagues. Now it's about continuing to climb the ladder to try to be as good a player as he can. So I have a hard time thinking that kid's ever going to be complacent about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at him and you see, the competitive goofiness of him, but like inside that kid's mind, like he's thinking about how can I get better each day? Like he takes care of himself. He's learning how much better he can take care of himself, what he can do here, what he can do there. He's always thinking about the next step. So I don't see it flattening out at any time and becoming complacent in where he's at. So especially since what we've seen when we've been around him since his high school days. So.
Well, and I know as a quarterback in high school, people tell him, he's not a Power 5 quarterback. Kid ended up committing to Clemson to play baseball and football. And so we were talking about it before. You can't convince me that if Bubba Chandler had set his mind to it, he's not playing on Sunday in the NFL. Like that's the type of, and not because of talent, but just because of how competitive he is and how hard he'll work.
No one destroys a baseball like Oneil Cruz.
That is the hardest hit ball in known Major League history.
Pitchers should consider themselves warned.
And it is gone! There's a Cruz missile!
Log in with your cable provider and stream the Pirates all season long on SNP 360.
When Skenes came up to the big leagues, Michael and I have watched every single pitch he's thrown. I'm sure you're pretty much probably the same. And so when he came up last year, he started throwing, or he had already started, but he really started using what we called the splinker for a while. And it last year, or 2024, it was his most used pitch other than his fastball. It was absolutely nasty. It got a ton of swing and miss. He came out in 2025, and that pitch was not the same. It didn't have the same vertical depth. It was not getting the same swing and miss. He gave up 3 home runs on it, which he only gave up 1 all of 2024. Something like that. Paul Skenes has the ability to change and to now start using his breaking balls more, and still maybe even have a better season because he's Paul Skenes. But that's something that I'm curious, when you see a guy like Skenes making those adjustments, is that something that separates him, or can everybody learn and make those adjustments the way he does?
That's a great question, because I think people can take something from it, but he is talented at a level that I'm not sure everybody can do. He blows my mind with like, I asked him about this. I said, like, dude, I feel like sometimes you just decide you're going to dominate a team with this pitch this day, and it could be any of your pitches, and you're just going there and you're mowing down people. Your curveball, like, it comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you get like 10 whiffs on your curveball. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, he goes in the bullpen. He's like, all right, this pitch feels good today. And he'll throw more of that in the game. And if it keeps working, he keeps going to it. Like, he has a plan, but he's willing to deviate from it. And he's got so many different weapons. They have to respect his fastball. They have to respect all of his pitches, his command. He told me when he was in college, and this also blew my mind, that he's always been able to put the ball where he wanted to. And I'm like, young pitchers never do that. Like, it takes them a while, and then they dial in command. He has always been able to do that. He was a catcher, so he knows how important sequencing. I think it's really awesome that he was a catcher and knows then how to call pitches and knows what hitters are expecting. He was a hitter. So that separates him. His command separates him. His stuff separates them. His poise separates them. The fact that he likes doing the boring stuff. I mean, the only thing he ever gets criticized for is that he's not the most, he's not over the top enthusiastic when you interview him, but that's what makes him great. It's the willingness to do the boring stuff. Like, I cannot think of a pitcher that's got it together more than that guy. And he is so much fun to watch. Everybody should watch every one of his starts. And you can learn something from it, but also realize you're watching a once in a generation guy who is just phenomenal in every way, great for the community. He does so many great things in charity. Like, if your kid grew up to be Paul Skenes, you'd sit there and go, I'm a winner. Like, that was the best my kid could have ever turned out. Like, that is fantastic.
My high school coach once gave me the greatest compliment I've ever gotten. He said, Michael's a guy that I would allow to marry my daughter. Paul Skenes is that for me. He's a guy that you'd be like, duh, yeah, take her, whatever you want, go ahead. Be a part of this family, right? Like, this guy's incredible. So I think you said it best. He got K-Strut of the Year in your awards. You said, walk slowly off the mound, surveying his kingdom. And I think that's the perfect element, because this guy is a giant lion. If there was a Liger, I believe in it now because of this guy. But watching him, Rob, over the last couple of years, like, I'll never forget, me and Steven are watching and I go, dude, how sick would it be if he threw that splinker off the front hip right here? And sure enough, he did. I'm like, how does this guy do this? He's 22 years old at the time, and he's making adjustments that you only dream a guy would make maybe in his 30-year-old season, 31-year-old season, 6 years in. This guy's doing it day one, and he's teaching the veterans things because he's willing to make that change like this. I think it's the military background. I say he has 58 tactical game plans, and he plans for it to go wrong. But before I even go any further on that, I want to talk to you about this moment that he had this year. It's the coolest moment I've ever seen in baseball. He threw a pitch, and he always looks up, and I'm always scared to death he got hurt. He goes like this, but he's not getting hurt. He's looking up, and at PNC, they have the horizontal and vertical break. Well, this day, his vertical movement with his fastball, because his low slot was taking off up better than it had all year. He led by far with that four-seamer, pretty much dropped the two-seamer that day, which took over a lot for his splinter this year. and dominated with it. I think he had 10 Ks, 9 of them on the fastball. That's what makes this guy extremely unique. But have you ever seen anybody be able to slow the game down like this at any age with this stuff, this command, and ability to adapt within the game? Because it's remarkable. And he feels like I feel like every time he says, I'm just trying to learn from this and that. And I'm like, dude, what else you gonna learn? You're gonna revolutionize the game.
That was exactly my view on him. And I knew this from, like, I interviewed him at LSU, and you know how good he was at LSU.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how good he can be from the interview. And at the end, I just came away going, like, dude, you are so good right now, and you could be so much better, but you're so good right now. And I can't wrap my head around how like mature, how well he thinks about the game, how much he wants to be better, and how much he focuses on every little detail to get that way. It is just a unique mindset. And I do think it has something to do with his military background. I mean, he just can be very disciplined and has a bunch of different plans when things go wrong. There is no young pitcher that pitches like that. He's so far up, like he pitches like that's the thing that's the great combo, right? He pitches like he's 35 and he's 22. He's got 22-year-old stuff. So he's among the smartest pitchers in the game. Yeah, like he's Paul Skenes. Like there's nothing you can say about him other than he's a one of one unique character. And I mean, I guess I don't wish everybody was like him, because then you wouldn't have these. Like, I'm glad there's only one Paul Skenes. It's fantastic to watch.
He got him, and he's done it again.
Welcome to Unobstructed Views.
We're at BP. We're going to get an inside look. Once you start loving each other, you start fighting for each other.
Welcome to Coach's Corner, and he'll admire it, so will we.
Is that too much to ask for?
Oh, baby!
I want to talk about 2013. You are on the DL. You fought all year. I caught every one of your sides, and they're constantly wondering because we needed you. We genuinely needed you on the mound. But talk about that year on your personal side, because I'm telling you, folks, having a guy stick around all year long, be under contract, could have easily been mad at the world, frustrated. He did the work. He did the due diligence. We both ended up being hurt towards the end of the year. We led the meetings. We did a bunch of stuff to take stuff off guys' backs. I'm happy I can say all this because it's about us, but it was led by you in my mind. And we did what we could, where we could. And it was an honor that we were asked to stay, because it's not very typical, right? Ray and Hurdle asked us to stay through it all and be a part of it and help anywhere we could. I had guys crying on my shoulder after tough games, just walking through it in the training room when I can't even walk. And I know you had similar stories, but just talk about the emotional side of that year, the good and the bad, and then we'll move on to today's Pirates.
Yeah, I think the good was I was still around everybody. The bad was just like this, I wouldn't say depression, but like this down spiral that I was kind of going through, because I just felt like I couldn't move my arm just to get my armrest to my car, couldn't wash my hair. Like I was trying everything I could to stay on the mound. And I think the prior years and just the wear and tear just finally caught up to me, talking about the junior college game where I threw 137 pitches and just learning. I felt like it was all just finally coming to a head, that my body just couldn't take it anymore. So it was definitely a struggle, because more than anything, I wanted to be out there. I just really started figuring out who I needed to be to have success. So to kind of have that all kind of pulled away from me and not on my own accord, that's what hurt the most.
Yeah.
That like an injury was what ended everything. Not that I wanted to finish pitching, like, oh, you wanted to go out and pitch poorly and then be like released? It's like, no, but I wanted to be able to be like go out on my own terms and and be able to like contribute and whatnot. But yeah, seeing everything go full circle, not even being a part of the team, but being able to be there in Chicago with the team, clinch. And to this day, like game yesterday in LA, Milwaukee. I saw the umpire cam where hitter's eye was in the light. They were in the shade. We played St. Louis and we had the day game. Game 4, day game. Game 5, day game. And not to say that, maybe we would have lost the games at night too, but those shadows were so tough to deal with as players. And I knew that as a pitcher, and that's why the first 2 or 3 innings in Pittsburgh, I didn't care if we scored runs because I was like, yo, like the hitter's eye is lit up and you guys are in the shade. Like I need to take advantage of this as long as I possibly can. And hopefully everything's in the shade by the time we're up to bat and they're not. So hopefully we get the first crack at the playing field being completely fair because I knew that it was tough on the eye to pick up that ball. But yeah, I think that season was it was a lot of things for me, but I think it all ended really well seeing that Cueto game. Like that to me is the best baseball game I've ever been a part of in my life.
Go a little bit deeper with that because it was special in every way. The sea of black, the call to the city, and they answered in a big way. I mean, that's a big turn from you walking into the bullpen, seeing a guy with the bag on his head, said, "Who's getting traded next?" Right? It just shows how passionate this place is. And at the end of this podcast, I want you to say what you said before we got on about Pittsburgh. But this city's special, dude. These fans are special. And that night, I think captured it in every way.
Oh, without a doubt. The way the stadium turned out, I think it was it Kutch and Jay sent out a text that was like black out the stadium, and everybody wore black shirts. Was it you and Kutch? All right. But literally,
it was a
night before.
Yeah, it was one of the players' wives. I can't think of it off the top of my head. She brought it up about college football, and then we were joking around about it. We were all at dinner, and I kind of looked at Kutch. I was like, "We could really do this, I think." And knowing Kutch, like he's not gonna just jump out and do that. I kind of pushed him. I was like, if I throw it out there, will you follow? And sure enough, he did. And then everybody else followed. Once AJ and him and all these guys and Jay Hayes started jumping on it, it took off. I just was the instigator in the background, like hey, we should do this. Come on, let's do this. Because somebody's wife said it, because she was a cheerleader at one of the schools. I think it was Penn State. Talking about the whiteout, and I was like, yeah, but we're like pirates. We need the blackout.
Yes, it was amazing. Yes. I mean, that game still gives me chills every time I see it. I watch it. I mean, like I've come across Cueto. I'm like, I can't wait to see him drop the ball. But yeah, the tradition runs so deep, and they had a good run for a few years after that, and but yeah, I think the stadium, everything about that night, that game, that year, and especially not say for me, but I think at the time I was the longest tenured Pirate at the time in 13 at that time.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yep. 08. So for me, having seen what I initially saw when I first got traded over to what it was then, I was like, wow, this place is amazing. And I think that's why it still has a special place in my heart.